Welcome to The Passion Pod with your host, Chris Johnson. Thanks for joining us. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the feature presentation.
Season 1, Episode 2.
Well, here we are again, friends. We tore through our first episode like a doggy through a screen door. Speaking of animals, we're big pet lovers here. 28 pets in all, mostly fish. But we also have a 9-pound doggo and a ball python named Oatmeal. Everyone in our household are very happy to introduce our guest this week, a legendary pet whisperer, famous for dog selfies and sarcastic jokes, owner of the blooming small business Eau Claire Pet Care, the gorgeous Sarah Morse.
Wow, that was quite the introduction. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. How can our friends find you, and what's the best form of contact for you?
You can visit us on our website at eauclairepetcare.com. We also have a Facebook page at Eau Claire Pet Care, and you can request services from us there and check out the cute animal photos and reviews.
So riddle me this. You've had a lot of pets.
Yes.
How many pets? What kinds? Names? Give me a list of your pets you've had.
We've had a lot of hedgehogs. All of our little pets are named after rappers. So we've had Bubba Sparks, Quillo Smith, Prick Ross, Meat Quill, Snoop Hogg. Those guys are all gone now, but we still name the little ones after rappers. So we've got Chinchilla named Ghostface Chilla, and then 3 rats, Rico Ratsy and Salt and Pepper, and then 2 fat cats, Cosmo and Fat Panda, but they're not named after rappers. They're just cats.
So why do you like animals so much more than people, and what is it about me that makes me an exception?
I don't know. I didn't have animals growing up at all. My dad hates animals. He thinks they're for eating and killing. So I don't know. I just kind of grew up like loving other people's animals, and I don't know. They're just way cooler than people. They're happy to see you. They don't complain too much except when they want snacks. But yeah, I don't know. They're just, if you love animals, you kind of know. I
agree. It's really hard to frown at an animal. Like they just want to put a smile on your face no matter what. So Eau Claire Pet Care, what exactly do you do?
We're an in your home pet sitting service. So we do daily visits to your house, overnights in your home. We kind of do any kind of animal. So we do like daily dog walking. If you go on vacation, we can come to your home, let your dog out multiple times a day, visit your cat, feed your guinea pigs, kind of whatever you need. While you're gone, we're basically, like I like to say, your dog's other best friend. But other animals too, but it's mostly dogs. But yeah, basically you don't have to take your animal to a boarding facility. We'll just come to you, and they can just stay comfortable and stay in their routine in their own home where they're happiest.
So how'd you get into doing like pet care stuff? Because it's not like you just immediately made a Facebook page doing pet stuff. You worked at like a vet at some point, right?
Right. I worked at Eau Claire Animal Hospital for 5 years. I started there working in kennels for minimum wage, basically. And it was a lot of work, but I was like in love with being with animals all day. So I just kind of worked my way up and eventually was a veterinary assistant there. And then one day, I just started I always did pet sitting on the side, but I started a Facebook page to see if I could get some more clients, and just kind of like took off, and here we are, 3 years later, have a huge clientele and people like us. So that's pretty cool.
I think it's cool and interesting of a point to be like, look, I didn't need to go to school and get a degree, and I didn't have to like super seek this thing out necessarily. I just kind of like found a job on wherever, like online, I'm guessing. Is that, or did you get like somebody?
Yeah, I was like in a weird spot in my life, and I didn't really like any of the jobs I was doing, and I just wanted to find something that I thought that I would be good at. And I know I was good at taking care of animals, and I just happened to find it on like Craigslist or something, and it worked out.
Well, I think, again, that's interesting, though, to see that you can find a minimum wage job on Craigslist, but that doesn't mean it's a dead end. That could be a lot of doors that open up from that. And here you are, however many years later. What is it? From when did you first get that job?
5 years ago.
Okay. So in 5 years, I mean, shit, that's the time frame people take to go to college, right? And you worked your way up through an industry that you really enjoyed and found a way to make what seems to be a decent living for yourself, working for yourself. And I guess believing in yourself and just seeing like you don't have to invest 50 grand or have mommy and daddy's approval or have whatever, you can find a way to pursue your passion off of a Craigslist ad for minimum wage. Everyone starts somewhere. And for you, it seemed like it just worked so much smoother, I guess. Like it wasn't such a scary dive like it is for some people anyways. Yeah,
not at all. It was a pretty smooth transition. Like I started getting more and more clients, and then I don't know, all of a sudden I was a business owner, and it just kept getting bigger and better, and people were like super responsive to it, and they love that you can just like leave your house and know that somebody's going to come and take care of them, and you don't have to put them in like a stressful place. And yeah, it worked out for me.
So for me, I got lots of stuff to do at my shop. I have to order merchandise, I have to deal with my website, I have to, organize events, and I do a lot of things, but the majority of the time I just hang out in my store and kind of do whatever's high on my priority list, but I get to just hang out at my store with my friends. I guess that's the way I look at it, and I get to really enjoy it. What does the average day look like for you? Because you're no longer employed by anyone except yourself, right?
Correct. Basically, I wake up in the morning, and like usually I kind of have like 3 or 4 routes during the day. So I'll do like a morning, an afternoon, a dinner time, and then a nighttime, just kind of depending on what clients I have for that day. Like right now I'm doing like 3 stops a day for somebody that's on vacation for a dog. But then I also have a lot of afternoon dog walking. So people that are at their jobs all day, can't let their dogs out. We do a lot of dog walking in the afternoon. So I'll do like, I don't know, I'll walk like 6 different dogs in the afternoon, and then day to day, it just kind of depends. But yeah, we're usually pretty busy almost all the time. So,
but you do a lot more than just walking dogs, right?
Right. We do in-home care for cats. I do a lot of like medication administration. Some people aren't comfortable giving medicine to their animals, so we do a lot of that. We do toenail trims. We call it pet taxi. We take your animals to the vet or to the groomer. Yeah, I don't know. Basically, like if you have like something specific that you're looking for help with, we can usually do it, just depending on what you want.
Well, it's kind of nice to have somebody like that you can trust, regardless of whether or not you can do whatever it is that they want. They may be like, oh, my dog's like, whatever, acting funny. What's your opinion? It's not like you're a vet, but since you did work with vets pretty closely, your reputation is on the line for how you interact with these people and with these animals, and you're going to point them in the right direction. Whether or not you think it's like something super mellow that you can take care of or whatever, you're going to give them the most honest advice because that's what's best for you anyways. And obviously you care about animals more than people almost, so you want them to get the right care.
Correct. Yeah.
So I remember you talking to me about this super cute skunk when we were hanging out a few months ago, which I can't imagine skunks as cute. But what are some of the more interesting pets that you've either owned or gotten to work with?
When I worked at Eau Claire Animal Hospital, I worked for like a really cool vet named Dr. Mather, and she was an exotic animal vet. So we would get just the craziest stuff in there, like 50-pound pythons. We've had like a baby wallaby in there once. Seen a lot of like falcons and owls.
Are you allowed to legally have those things?
Well, like the falcons and the owls and stuff would be from Beaver Creek, the wildlife reservation. So yeah, I don't know. Wisconsin's laws are kind of weird with exotic pets. Like there's some you can own and some you can't. You just kind of got to look into it. But yeah, that was like the coolest thing ever, is just getting to see animals you don't see all day. And a lot of the people I worked with were really scared of the big snakes. And so that meant that I got to work with them. And that was like the best thing. You'd have to like give them shots and stuff, which I didn't even know you could do that. But yeah, they're super cool and chill. And there's actually some people that would like sleep in their beds with their not their cats, they're like 50-pound pythons at night. And
the snake doesn't slither away.
I thought like maybe isn't a good idea, but apparently they would sleep with them. And like, yeah, I had met one. It was a female Indian python named Bruce, and she named Bruce, and she ate one of their cats like whole. So if you have cats, don't maybe get a 50-pound Indian python because you're probably not going to have a cat anymore.
Wild. I've never heard something like that.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Okay, well, speaking about crazy pets, you're kind of like my go-to expert when I have questions about pets. You're the person that I text, and you usually get back to me right away. What advice would you give somebody that's thinking about getting a new pet? Are there any certain types of pets that you suggest for new pet owners? Are there any types of pets you would suggest, like, hey, this is cute, but maybe not a great idea?
Yeah, I'd say that you definitely need to pick a pet that fits your lifestyle. Like, if you're just a couch potato, don't get a border collie, because those dogs require a lot of exercise. If you're gone all the time, maybe some fish would be great. But normally I would say, yeah, just anything that matches you, like the amount of time that you have for a pet. So if you don't have a lot of time for a pet, don't get a dog. I'd say a lot of good starter pets, especially for kids, which people think I'm crazy when I tell them this, but rats are great pets. They're super smart and social. They're awake during the day, and they generally don't bite. I've never really met one that has. A lot of people want to get like hamsters and stuff like that for their kids. Don't do that. Those are nocturnal animals, and they're probably going to bite you because they don't want to be awake during the day. So get your kid a couple of rats, a couple of fish.
So this one's kind of tough. I'm not sure how you're going to be able to pick this, but I would really like an answer.
Oh, no.
Pressure's on.
Oh, no.
It's hard to pick a favorite child. You can't, right? Ethically, that's wrong.
I probably could, but I hate kids.
Okay. Well, your animals aren't children. So you're walking a dog tomorrow.
Yes.
Right? And you stumble upon the fountain of youth.
Oh, no.
You have the elixir of life, but you can only give it to one animal, past or present, that you have that can be your partner forever. Which pet is it going to be and why?
It's going to be my cat, Fat Panda, because he is a sweet, beautiful prince angel. He's just this like fat, snuggly, soft, sweet kitty that was actually at the shelter for almost a year, and nobody wanted him, and he was on sale one day. So I was like, I'm getting this dude. He's cool. And yeah, he's the love of my life besides my husband. But yeah, I have another. Cosmo's nice too, but I don't think I'd want him to have the elixir of life.
So ethically speaking, where would you suggest people look when they're looking to get a new pet? Obviously, like, you know, the shelters and stuff are a good spot, but are there any things people should avoid? I know it's like get from a shelter, not from a pet store, but is there anything beyond that? Are there resources or anything that you would suggest people look into? I
would say if you're not interested in a shelter pet, which is obviously my first choice, make sure you research like breeders. Obviously no pet stores. I don't even think any pet stores in Eau Claire sell cats or dogs anymore. I know Tropic Waters used to, but not anymore, because those animals are going to be from puppy mills. So just make sure you do your research. You know, if you're going to pick up a, new puppy, make sure that you're able to visit the owner's home, see the dog parents. Don't just get some sketchy person off of Craigslist, because that's probably not going to go super well. It might. So you might get lucky, but you just kind of want to know what you're buying before you buy it. And a lot of breeders, there's good breeders and bad breeders. So just make sure you kind of check them out first before you give them like $2,000 for a dog.
Yeah. Makes sense. So if somebody wants to come out and just be your direct competitor, how do they go about starting something like what you started? You said you started a Facebook page, but there must be more to getting a business off the ground than just that. What were kind of the steps that you had to take?
I just went to Western Wisconsin Dairyland. One of my first clients was a counselor there for people that want to start new local businesses, and it's free. So I just went there, and she kind of gave me the stepping stones to like start my business. What paperwork I had to fill out in the IRS and all that jazz. And it was pretty easy. Basically, I just paid for an LLC, bought some insurance, and I just started doing it all the time. If you like want to start your own business, just take the first steps and do it.
I feel like a lot of this stuff is a lot easier than people imagine it is.
Yeah.
It's mostly just that like scared barrier that's stopping in front of them, that they think like this is going to be so difficult. There's no turning back and blah, 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 blah. And I mean, sure, some like you want to open a restaurant or something, you have to have more significant capital. You need to buy a building or lease one, usually more long term, and you got to find a staff. And it's a whole lot harder to just like dip your toes in and try things. But I think for a lot of, we'll just say like pursuits of passions, right? I think a lot of the times you don't really have to give up that much. And look at like, what's the worst case scenario?
Right. A lot of my friends that like want to own their own businesses, I'm like, why aren't you? Like you talk about it all the time. Like, why aren't you doing it? And always the first answer is I'm scared. Well, what are you scared of? Probably failure, which may happen. And if it does, then it happens. Then whatever, you tried. Mm-hmm. But you're never going to know unless you try. Like if I never tried, I'd probably still just be working at the animal hospital. Mm-hmm. And not that that was a bad job, but I'm much happier working for myself. So, but I also didn't I didn't really need any overhead money to put into this business. It's a service business. You don't really need anything. I don't sell products. So it was pretty easy for me.
Well, and for a lot of people too, again, talking about pursuits of passion, you don't necessarily have to quit your job and full-time do it.
Right.
You can do it like how you did, where you're just like pet sitting on the side, or people who want to paint more, like I've been doing. You can just paint because you want to. Right. And all of a sudden I sold a pot today. And I'm like, what? I sold something? That's so rad. But I'm not like dependent on it income-wise. You can just kind of do it. Or the podcast is just something that I decided I want to do this. So why don't I try it out? You know, and I'm spending a lot of time and energy on it now. And this is kind of becoming this cool beast that I'm hoping people really, really enjoy. But I didn't have to quit my job to do it. And I think for a lot of cases, that's how it works, whether it's like taking a couple night classes. And again, what's the worst case scenario? You know, say you want to go back to school for something. You don't have to go back to school full time. You can start by taking one class and, oh no, you go to it for 3 weeks and decide that's not for you. You're not out that much.
No.
You know, and then again, most cases, like you drop down hours at an employer and you try to do your own thing. Or if you totally quit your job, well, as long as you left on good like terms, they would probably want you back anyways. So you're just back in the same spot that you started in, which isn't any worse for wear. If anything, now at least you have more experience to bring to the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you struggle with or aren't your favorite about working for yourself so far?
It's a lot of work. You don't get like the typical weekends off like you would at your other job, or you don't get benefits, or you don't get paid vacation, because if you're not working, you're not making money, and that's just how it is when you work for yourself most of the time. It's a lot of work. It's constant. I don't really give myself a lot of time off like I should. I'm working at being better at that, but I'm a workaholic, and I'm just so proud of my business. I never expected that I would be in this position. I kind of thought that I would always be at a dead-end job. I never knew what I was good at for like my entire life. I was like, I sucked at school. I almost failed high school, but I ended up like getting my diploma late. But that didn't, like, a lot of people will tell you that that's going to like set you up for life if you're good at school. And that's just kind of a bunch of crap, because I wasn't good at school and I went to college for 2 days and that sucked. And here I am as a business owner for 3 years and I'm doing just fine by myself. So basically just, I don't know, do whatever you want to do. Like, that sounds so like cliche, but you can literally do whatever you want to do. You're an adult. Just do it.
Well, and why try to fulfill somebody else's dream?
Right.
Because that's what you're doing when you work for somebody else. They're paying you to make their dream a reality.
Yeah.
Why don't you find a way to do that for yourself? And it can be on any spectrum. I've said this before to friends, like, everybody has different skill sets. Everybody has things that they're naturally good at and things that they're naturally not good at. Find whatever fits you and then take advantage of it. Why not? Why work hard against yourself? Why put yourself in difficult situations? If you recognize there's something you enjoy doing, just think about where your skill set lies. There's probably a way to make money doing that. Your skill set happened to be snuggling with pooches and winning them over and picking up their poop while you walk them.
Yes.
You know,
lots of poop.
You found a way to make a living doing that, though. I mean, you look at me with skateboarding. I am not a professional skateboarder. I've never been all that good. But my skill lied with talking with people and being genuine, and I understand money fairly well. So what was up my alley? Sales. Okay, well, sales is where my skill set lies. I hate selling things that I don't believe in. I found a way to kind of meld those two things. So I have the best of both worlds. But I would argue that almost anybody, if they really sat there and thought about it and talked it through, they could probably find something that they would really, really enjoy doing. And there's very likely a way to make that happen for a career.
Right.
So not to focus on the negatives of things that, are difficult to deal with, like taking time off, which is tough. I think it gets easier over time. You either get a staff or you have a strong enough clientele base that you can just explain to them like, hey, for myself, hey, I have kids. I want to be home on the weekends with them. I want to be home by 6 p.m. to make dinner. And my clientele totally gets it. And that works for me. But I couldn't do that right away. We could tell stories around a fire till the wee hours of the morning, but our friends don't want to listen for quite that long. People like us live really unique lives and in turn get to have really unique experiences within our careers. Can you tell me a story that is something that happened to you or you got to experience that you are really, really stoked happened, but only happened because you chose to pursue your passion?
Yeah, I saw this cat that was on the Dunn County shelter site. His name was Malibu, and he'd been needing a home for a long time. He was a big black and white chubby dude. And I wanted him, but I knew I didn't have time for 3 cats. So I posted him on my business Facebook page, and I said, it's around the holidays. If anyone wants to give Malibu a great home, I'll sponsor the adoption. I'll buy the supplies, and let's get him set up. And a lady reached out to me, and her mother had recently just had a lot of losses in her life. Her husband died, and her cat recently died. And it ended up being a perfect match. And I took, the supplies over there, and I got them all adopted. And as soon as he got in our house, they were literally like a match made in heaven, like perfect companion for her. And she was so happy to have him. And it changed her life. She was no longer lonely. And that was like the best thing that I can think of that's ever happened because of my business, because people spread the word so fast, and it changed his life. Now he has an awesome home with a sweet little old lady who's going to just give him everything in the world. So, and that's the most important part about my job is connecting people with animals. And I love doing that. It's really rewarding.
Absolutely. I think making that connection or making connections with people in general, like people or animals, that's what's special is all the emotion that's attached to it. When you don't, when you work for somebody else, a lot of times, well, primarily any business, like crunching the numbers, that's what's important is how do you make a profit? But when you work for yourself, you could make money working for somebody else. It's not about the money. You want to make money, but you want to ultimately be doing something that fulfills you, that you're proud of and you really enjoy, or at least that's what most people want to do. So when you get to have experiences like that, it's cool that, talking to you, that you recognize that's not something that financially did something for you, but that is a big part of the reason why you choose to do what you do in the first place, Yeah. I've gotten to have a lot of crazy experiences because I've been in business for a little while, but one of them is I've been getting way more creative lately. I had wanted to create a certain thing with my shop, like how I wanted it to look. And I never had confidence in any of my artistic ability because I never got good grades on it. And I'm just not one of those people where I can take a piece of paper and have an idea and then draw that idea. My brain doesn't really work that way. I can take something that already exists and then just kind of tweak it or change it. And eventually it's something totally different. But just sitting with a pen and paper, it just doesn't really work like that, for me. But I was nervous and I'm I want to make my shop look really special. I want it to look like something cool. So the 5-year anniversary was coming up and I thought I think a brick wall would look really good in my shop. And I was too embarrassed to do it. And we're talking about painting bricks, which is kind of pathetic, but I was too embarrassed to do it. And so I started by painting one of the walls in the bathroom. And I'm well, maybe it'll turn out okay in the bathroom where no one will see it. It's stupid, but it's true. And I did it. And I was this looks cool, right? This looks cool. And people were coming in and they're oh, that's rad. And so it took me a little bit, but I'm like, all right, all gung-ho. And it's sad because I'm 4 years into business. Like, my confidence should be there. It's my shop. Who the fuck cares? But still, I just didn't have that confidence yet. And then finally one day I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I turned on some music and I just started painting bricks on my one wall. And that just kind of like opened everything up for me. You know, it taught me that even things that I thought I was going to be bad at, if I just trust myself and take that first little step with it, it's probably not as hard as I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. And who cares? There's going to be room for growth. Right. I can do whatever I want because I work for myself. Right. And it took a year, and look at the shop now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You know what I mean?
It's a jungle.
It's a whole like city overgrown by trees that grow skateboards. And now I'm painting all the time. I've been doing murals in my house. I've been painting, like I painted this snake on a pot the other day. I just painted another one tonight because I felt like it. And it was that experience that I would not have had if I still worked for Verizon like I used to. I would have never had that like juice or that energy to try something. And I feel like it's just totally changed, you know, a lot of what I think of myself.
Yeah.
And now I'm excited. Like the podcast. Yeah. That's something I always thought my voice sounded stupid, you know, but over time, that confidence has built that creative things can just be fun and they can just be creative, and who cares? We'll see where it goes. If it's awesome, sweet. And it usually turns out pretty good. You know, It usually turns out better than you think it's going to turn out.
Yeah. I feel like owning a business is like the biggest confidence booster in the world. Like, I am the most self-conscious person that I know. And until I had a business, I really felt like I really did not feel confident at all in myself. But now that I own this business and I'm like, feel like I'm good at something, or I am good at something, it makes me feel like more social. I feel more comfortable talking to people because people with animals can relate to people with animals no matter what. If you can talk about animals, you're going to be friends probably. Mm-hmm. And that's like the coolest thing, because I kind of just never really felt comfortable working for any other employer. Like, I just kind of felt weird. Like, I just didn't fit in with the people that I was working with. And that's kind of cool about this, is like, you don't have to fit in. You can just kind of be like, I don't know, a sarcastic, annoying weirdo. And people, it doesn't matter, because people are going to pay you to take care of their dogs, and they're going to like you anyways.
Well, you just don't have to wear a mask for somebody else. Again, coming back to filling somebody else's dream, right. You know, you're not when you work for yourself. When you are working for anybody else, you have to fit certain standards. You have to wear a certain uniform. You have to say certain things, whether it's greetings or in general, like there's an employee handbook of what you have to do. And that really limits you being you.
For sure.
You know, when you clock in, you're putting on a performance to a certain degree to fit what they're looking for. But when you work for yourself, I mean, you have to put on a smile, even if you're having a bad day, for sure still. But you can just be yourself. And typically that comes through as just being more genuine anyways. And people are going to respond positively to that. And yeah, it's a self-confidence booster, because you know that people don't like you just because of the business you work at.
Right.
Like, people like you for you. They wouldn't be coming to you if they didn't like you, which I feel like I'm the popular kid in school finally after all these years. Like, I made it over 10 years of being out of high school, and now I'm the popular kid. That's what it feels like when I go to bars. For sure.
No, I totally agree. Like, it's like everywhere I go, there's people that I know, or my clients or friends. And I mean, it's not like I was like, I didn't have friends or anything in school, but like, not like this. Like, I've made so many cool connections with people just through my business, and like lifelong friends that I've made. And I never expected that. It's really neat.
Let's talk about the future a little bit. I'm focused on not really growing my shop in the way of like square footage or another shop or something like that. I don't think I really want to do that. I like where I'm at with it. But I am kind of focused on how I can grow like the reach in general of the store, the podcast being one of those things. We've been raising a lot of money, so hopefully this new park gets built. We have a lot of projects in the works for other events. I want to like look at passion and have it not just be about skateboarding anymore, because passions grow and change over time, and mine have grown and changed over time. And my goal no longer is just to have a successful skate shop. I love it, and hopefully that can last a long time. But I've really attached this idea through this podcast anyways of I am very passionate about helping other people feel more fulfilled. And hopefully this can do that for them. And I can use my shop now as an avenue. Like, we're going to be doing an art show and stuff like in the store. And all the people who are going to be in the art show, one of like the requirements is you could have never had your stuff in a gallery prior to that. So I'm recognizing that I have this really cool special tool that I've built up over time that now these doors are open to do all kinds of shit and a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with skateboarding. And that's totally fine. There's no reason, like if I have this avenue and I have all these followers or whatever, I could just put some kid's artwork up and how excited is he going to be? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have like tons of doors open. What about for you? What's going to be next? Because you already are busy as shit. I mean, are you going to hire more people or something, or like what's next?
I actually just hired a third assistant, so now I have 3. And I don't really know what's next, to be honest with you. It just keeps like getting bigger and better and every year. And like what I'd hope that I could eventually do is like take a step back and have employees do the majority of the work. I don't know. Me and Tyler want to buy like a little farm. So maybe just like a small in-home pet care facility, like not like a big boarding facility, but just something small and kind of more intimate. So kind of dogs can just feel like they're in a home instead of just in a kennel. So that's kind of like what I'm thinking of. But as far as right now, it's just kind of going great how it is. So I'm pretty stoked about that.
That's one thing that I think is really important when you own a business is to recognize, like people say, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? Well, you can't like be too stuck on what those plans are anyways, because you have to just kind of go with the punches of what opportunities show up and take the right opportunities when they pop up. And sometimes that's not the direction you were planning on going.
Yeah.
And you have to allow that to happen because sometimes the plan of what you want to do just isn't going to work. Like things are going to come up over and over again that are telling you like this is probably not the best idea, and you kind of have to recognize those and change your course in the correct direction. So when people ask me same thing, 5 years, man, I don't like same shop, but maybe traveling a bunch. Whatever is possible. But at the same time, maybe I won't even want to do that. So I'm kind of just going with it. Yeah. I think 6 months in advance, and that's about as far as it really goes.
I think 5-year plans are a little bogus. Like 5 years ago, I was digging for change in my couch so I could get gas, so I could go apply for some jobs. And here we are 5 years later with a business. So what can happen in 5 years? Who knows? Hopefully I'm still alive walking dogs. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping it stays like that.
For sure. I like to end the episodes with a piece of advice from each of us. And it's not that anyone needs to listen to us. We're both young people. We're both fucking stupid, if you think of it that way. I think I'm smart. I think you're smart. So people can listen to them or they can't, whatever they want to do. But I like to leave with something. Would you like to give your piece of advice first or have me go first?
You can go first.
Okay, here's my advice for episode 2. When you work for yourself, things don't always go according to plan. For example, when I was starting my own business, I went to a bank to get a loan and was turned down. I was told that skateboard shops don't work out. I think a really important thing for people to understand is that if you want to create something unique, something new, something special, roadblocks will ultimately be there to try and stop you no matter what. But you have to hold on to the age-old saying of never take no for an answer. You're in control. You don't have a boss. You can and will accomplish whatever it is you're set out to do, one way or another. If you keep that mentality, you'll always be able to find alternate paths to your goals.
I have to follow up. I was just going to say, don't walk 2 German Shepherds wearing flip-flops. Because it's really hard. But no, I don't know. So I guess I would just say, like seriously, do whatever you want to do. If you want to do something, just do it and screw what anyone else says. If you hate your job and the people you work for are just like soul-sucking jerks, then just quit. Like, you can find another job. Like, don't like work your life away for somebody that doesn't care about you, because in the end, you're not going to feel anything good about that. So just, I don't know. I understand you got to work crappy jobs to get where you want to be, but just do what you want to do and it'll all work out.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Passion Pod. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll see you soon.